is actually coaching a basketball game. He's got a job. He's not an unemployed bum, even though he sometimes looks like it. So in his stead, we have the one and only Barstool Reags. He's back, baby. Barstool.
The guy who always dresses like an unemployed bum, even though I'm not unemployed, but I am a bum. So whatever. I dress for you. I dress for you.
All right, hold on. Let me tweet this out that you're back. All right, Reags. We started a tradition last year where every Thursday when we would podcast, we would have a beer while we did it. That's where the Beers and Balls stream started. That's where it became a thing.
It got a little loose late in the year last year, too.
It got real loose during the pandemic. We would be like 4 beers deep talking about basketball games.
When we started doing the rewatches when there was nothing, those second halves got real loose when we started just going off the rails.
Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, I know that you're on like a diet, you're on this like health kick, and I don't know. Well, I support you getting healthy. That's always a good thing. But I don't know if I support this whole no craft beer thing. So I know you're doing things a little differently, but you got something special for us today, right?
I'm sticking to my roots. If you listen to the old show that me and you did, you know I love this beer. You know my parents live in Charleston, South Carolina, so whenever I see them, either I'm down there or they're up here, they bring it to me. It's my Huger Street IPA. It is just a perfect IPA, not too heavy. I can drink a good amount of these and be feeling nice and good to talk to my buddy Rob.
A good amount of them, yeah. I'm sure you can drink a good amount of them, Reags. I got something pretty special here. I bought it. It's from Cape May. People that listen to this and listen to the show know I love Cape May. It's a little different. I tried to get into milkshake IPAs during the pandemic when shit really shut down.
They're so hit or miss.
Yeah, they're so hit or miss. Some of them are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I swear there was one where I didn't even bother finishing it. Right?
Yeah,
I dumped out half the beer. I was like,
I've done at the brewery, take a sip and been to my wife, been like, oh, you should try this. You'll probably like it, and just hand it to her. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just go get another one. You sit here. I'll go up and get another one.
So this one is a chocolate-covered strawberry milkshake IPA from Cape May Brew Co. for my boys over at Cape May, and it is actually delightful.
It seems like a Valentine's Day beer. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm. That's when I got it, Reags. That's when I bought it.
Made sense.
It's a little too sweet. You can't. If you have more than one, then I feel like I'm going to go into diabetic shock. But it's really good. It's a
dessert beer.
Yeah, it's a dessert beer, but you still get the hop. You still get that kind of cream soda flavor that you get when with a really good milkshake. And I don't know. It's weird. It's very hard to explain what a good milkshake IPA tastes like, but just they're good. That's the way that I like to phrase it. They're good.
I agree. Like I said, so hit or miss, but when it's a hit, you're good.
Yep. All right. We got a lot to talk about. We are going to play 3 up and 3 down at one point where we just kind of pick teams that we're high on and pick teams that we're lower on in the field. Just, I don't know. Trying to find something unique to talk about at this point in the season is a very difficult thing to do. Yeah. I don't know if you know that. But before we do, we have to talk about Michigan and Iowa because Michigan just completely beat the brakes off of the Hawkeyes. Yeah. And, both of us, I'm sure we're both going to have Iowa in a certain slot in 3 up, 3 down at some point. But I'm just kind of curious, for you, the talking point is always going to be, is Michigan in the same tier as Gonzaga and Baylor? And I don't know, we don't have to frame it like that, but just kind of where are you right now on this Michigan team?
Yeah, they're tier 1. It's no question, right? I held off for a decent portion, but when they came back and the way they looked in the second half against Wisconsin, I was like, yeah, these guys they're tier 1. You can argue if they're the second team, the third team, whatever. They're right. It's Baylor, it's Gonzaga, it's Michigan versus the field. It's now 3 versus the field. If you don't put them there, you're trying too hard. That's just kind of where I am with them. Just watch them because, listen, I thought there was going to be some shooting regression. Mike Smith was not a 48% three-point shooter at Columbia. He was a 36% shooter, I think he was. So it's okay, when is this shooting going to come back? And it doesn't matter because Hunter Dickinson is real. Franz Wagner is one of my favorite players in the country. He's now I know me and you've talked about him off air where we're both yeah, he's the most underrated player in the country. He's now John Beeline, where he's talked about being so underrated, he's overrated. Where it's like, no, this is who he is.
He's properly rated.
Right. But it showed today. Like, Iowa could not stop Franz Wagner, and Franz Wagner could defend everybody on Iowa.
Yeah, I don't think people realize and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like I don't think people realize how good Franz is when, like, at one, turning that corner, and two, like the flexibility and the dexterity to be able to get those weird spins off the backboard. It's incredible. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say is, I didn't think Michigan played that well the first half. It was like the whole game was just jolted that first half.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me having 5 official reviews in one half of a college basketball game is too many? Reags, look,
it's the biggest problem.
I know we have takes here, but that's just a little too high.
I know. It's the biggest problem in the sport, man. Like, listen, it's the time of the year where casual fans come in. Guess what? They see number 3 Michigan, number 9 Iowa, 7 o'clock on the main ESPN channel. Guess what they're going to put on? There we go. And you had garbage foul call, review. And it was just like this game.
Sprained ankle.
Right. This game sucks. Like, I was like, this is just that. And to be honest, the game did suck. Like, it was close in the first half. It was a terrible half of basketball.
Yeah, it really was. Like, and it was because no one could really get into a rhythm because of all the stoppages and all the whistles being blown, and the fact that, like, Michigan just matches up so perfectly with Iowa. Iowa never had a chance to get anything going.
No.
In this game was to keep Michigan, like, in the low 60s, and then have one of those nights where they go like 11 for 22 from 3.
And they kind of started doing that in the first half, right? Like, they shot well. They start 5 for 11 from 3. Like, that's more than fine. And they held Michigan to 32 points that first half. So you're sitting there going, like, all right, this is the game that we kind of have. Like, yeah, we only have 29, but we're Iowa. We can score in the second half, except, that's exactly why Luka Garza is who he is as a prospect and why he's a really, really good college player. But if you have Hunter Dickinson and even Austin Davis and even Isaiah, the whole group, I think Dickinson's the one leading the charge, where you don't have to double down. You can throw a double down to trap on Luka, but it just takes away Iowa's entire offense. And to me, like, they don't have that guy like a Franz Wagner who you sit there and go, all right, our guys, like, Dickinson was getting taken away a little bit on the offensive side. Michigan just looked at Livers and Wagner and said, you guys go make plays.
Yeah.
Iowa doesn't have that. Like, Wieskamp, Frederick, I like their games, but they're not guys you sit there and ISO on the wing and say, go ahead, go make a play.
Yeah, I mean, Wieskamp a little bit, he's out of that to his game, but mostly, like, their whole value is the whole way that this offense is built is give the ball to Luka, let Luka go to work. When you inevitably have to send a double team on him because Luka overpowers anybody in the post, then it's kick out, swing, wide open 3. Kick out, swing, bang, attack, close out, got a layup that Wieskamp gets. It all centers around the ability to get a post touch and to put the defense into rotation because you have to do something with Luka or he's going to score one-on-one. The problem with this matchup against Michigan is Hunter Dickinson can take him away.
Yeah.
Like, Hunter Dickinson is like the one guy in college hoops that is, like, really perfectly suited to being able to do that. Like, even Kofi just is not – he's a little bit more foul prone and he's not quite as, like – he's stronger, but he's not quite as immobile. Like, Hunter Dickinson is a wall. You run into him and you're not – like, you're bouncing off.
Right. And Dickinson and Garza are the same exact speed running up and down the court, which is not fast.
And neither of them both look so goofy when they run. I would love to see them being like a 400-yard dash.
Oh, it'd just be like winded coming down the stretch. I loved watching them in fast breaks. Like, they're trying to get in secondary transitions. And there was one time Michigan literally had to slow down and run a real half-court set because Mike Smith just ran into Hunter Dickinson in the high post. And it was like, you could just see, like, Smith was like, God damn it. Here we go.
Yeah, did you see that? We just got a comment that said, Reags, we got the craft beer cast back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, it's back. Oh, man.
I was going to ask you this. Has anybody in the history of college basketball thrown more chicken wings than Luka Garza? I've seen it before, and it's definitely been talked about, like, within the college basketball circle. There were multiple plays today, and one ended up being on the third foul call on Dickinson. If Luka catches the ball and he's driving on the baseline on that little half turn, all he does is elbow and chicken wing to get space. I mean, I give him credit because he barely gets called for it, and it clearly works. Nobody in the history of college basketball has thrown more chicken wings.
Yeah, he's not afraid to put his shoulder or his elbow into somebody. But here,
right.
Dickinson isn't either. Like that's part of the reason why this was so fun to watch is because like neither of those dudes, like there's a lot of bigs that will try to flop and get a foul here or a foul there. Like neither Luka Garza nor Hunter Dickinson are like I don't think they understand the word flop. Right.
Well, I just don't think they want to get up from falling down on the floor. That's a lot of man meat to get up onto the floor.
That is. Like, I'm pretty sure Luka Garza doesn't feel pain. And today, I didn't notice this until today, but like Hunter Dickinson has like starting to get the dark hairs on like the back of his
yeah, he's
very much got like that old man like
he's ready to be a dad.
Oh yeah. He's perfectly he's got the beard too that doesn't quite look right, but it's a beard because like I'm a man and I got hair on the back of my arms, so I gotta get the beard going.
It's wild he's a freshman. Like he even just from his game, like obviously we can talk about like his footwork and his ability to read the floor. He just doesn't look like a freshman.
I told you my favorite stat in college basketball this year, right?
No, which one is it? Well, you might have, but
Hunter Dickinson turned 20 on November 25th, right? And he's a freshman. Franz Wagner turned 19 in August, and he's a sophomore. So Franz Wagner is 10 months younger than Hunter Dickinson and a year younger than him in school.
I'm pretty sure Hunter Dickinson's older than Devin Booker.
Yeah, dude, he's so old. It's so funny.
It's great. Yeah. And I love that him and Garza came through the same AAU program. They're both from the like DC, Baltimore, Northern Virginia area, the DMV area. The fact, like, I just need somebody who exactly is from the Luka Garza, Hunter Dickinson prototype to come through that and into the Big Ten every 2 years.
Yeah, it's so good. I got to figure out where he's from in DC.
Garza?
He's from Hyattsville. Hunter Dickinson is from
he's from Northern Virginia, but he went to DeMatha.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where DeMatha is.
Yeah.
He's from Alexandria. I lived in Alexandria. And then Luka, I asked Luka once. He lived way further out.
What high school did Luka go to? I forget.
He went to Murray. I told you the story about seeing him play as a freshman, right? In high school?
When you were living in DC?
Yeah. He could not. So you ever seen like the clown shoes that people put on? Like this is the best way I can describe. Like that sideshow Bob wears on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And you know how when you have those clown shoes on, or like when your kid puts on like an adult pair of shoes, and
he tries to wear like my slippers and he just falls on his face.
Or like this. It's like he's got flippers. You know what? It's like he's wearing flippers. That's how big his shoes were, and that's what it was like when he was running. He would go up and down the floor, and you could hear his feet slapping. That's how goofy he was when he was running. He couldn't dunk. He was 6'9".
That's a special type of lack of athleticism.
Yes, and lack of athleticism, lack of coordination.
Yeah.
And I was there with an assistant, Division I assistant, and watching him play. And he was there to recruit one of the seniors on the team because they actually had a Division I player. And he looks at Luka. He's like, that kid right there, he's gonna play high major basketball. I'm like, are we watching the same thing?
Yeah, like for what?
That's why you're at an Ivy League school and you're not at a high major school because the goofball is going to play high major basketball. And here he is, the national player of the year. So shout out to you, Luka Garza. All right, Michigan, Baylor, Gonzaga. I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to rank them.
I would go. I still want to go Gonzaga 1, Baylor 2, Michigan 3.
That's probably what I would do as well. I think that it's very clearly like those three and then everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that like at this point, like even if you look at KenPom right now, and I don't like to lean entirely on KenPom for this because like the numbers can kind of get weird.
Yeah,
right now, like it's all Baylor and Michigan are like very, very close. They're like less than a half, like 0.5 away adjusted efficiency margin thing.
Right. So, KenPom's kind of weird this year with just like, I do like to look at KenPom and base a lot of rankings kind of on that. I think it's a decent ranking tool to a degree, but like
the problem is it gets skewed so much when there's these blowouts that happen.
Right. Like Virginia beating Clemson by 35, and that's why the metrics are so nice to them.
Skewed everything, and then Like Louisville just getting drubbed twice coming off their
Right.
that's going to kill them. But like this 22-point win over a top 5 team in Iowa, combined with Baylor barely beating Iowa State at home, has completely changed what those metrics look like. So it's very hard to take all of that stuff, like, I don't want to say like too seriously, but it's very much something that you have to keep an eye on.
Who do you think? What's your projection seed wise? Who goes 1, 2, 3?
Oh man, I think a lot of it depends on what happens down the stretch.
Well, yeah, no kidding, but that's why I asked you to project it.
I think it probably ends up being Gonzaga's the number 1 overall seed because they have 6 wins over top 25 teams right now. I don't think people realize that.
To me, if Baylor loses, Gonzaga will lock up the 1 seed. But if Baylor ends up running the table, they get the 1 seed.
They might.
Number 1 overall, which is huge because Ohio State or Illinois will probably be number 5 overall, which means they're going to the 2.
It doesn't matter what happens. Like the Gonzaga or Baylor is going to get whichever Big Ten, like the Big Ten teams that are 2 seeds, because we're going to have
we're going to have 2 Big Ten 1 seeds.
Yeah, and 2 Big Ten 2 seeds. So it's just you're going to have to alternate.
You think we're getting 2 Big Ten 2 seeds?
Depending on what happens with Iowa.
I don't. If Iowa loses to Ohio State, how do they get a 2 seed besides winning the Big Ten tournament?
I mean, who are you going to give it to? You're going to give it to Houston? You're going to give it to Villanova? You're going to give it to Alabama? It's not like all these other teams have great profiles,
right? But like, if Villanova wins the Big East and Big East tournament, they should be it above Iowa. If Alabama wins the SEC tournament, they should get it above Iowa. If who else do we say? Houston, I don't know. They're so tough from a resume standpoint.
Here's the thing, like you mentioned Villanova and Alabama. Like I kind of think that both of them are going to be 2 seeds, right? So you have Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and let's just call it Ohio State on the 1 seed,
right? And then Illinois,
Villanova, Alabama, Illinois, Iowa, and then these are the teams that you're picking from after that. You have to.
You know what? West Virginia, Oklahoma.
Okay. West Virginia, I'll give you. I'm not in on Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, very well could easily have a better resume than Iowa.
Yeah, they could. But I'm also just like
they already do. I think
maybe they also lost to Kansas State, and
that's right. That's not great, but like Iowa just hasn't beaten anybody.
Yeah, they haven't. They lost twice to Indiana, so you know what?
Right, and they lost to Minnesota.
Get them out of here.
Minnesota sucks.
Get them out of here. Yeah, I'm with you. I think right now, I'm looking up the futures odds for Iowa right now, and all I'm seeing at the moment, I don't know where to find them. All I'm seeing at the moment is Gonzaga and Baylor is plus 110, and the field is minus 134. I think at that price, I'd probably take the field, right?
Yeah, because you're getting Michigan in that plus.
You get Michigan,
Ohio State, Illinois.
You get Michigan and the coronavirus on your side.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else about this Michigan-Iowa game? Anything to take away?
No, it's pretty much what I expected. Like, I don't think Iowa's that good, and I think Michigan's really good. And we talked about Michigan is an ideal or matches up ideally against Iowa, and I wasn't shocked by the result by any means.
How worried are you about Iowa right now with the broken nose? Do you think that it impacts Illinois at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see when he comes back, right? Because people will overreact to the regular season if he's held out into the tournament. They'll overreact if he comes back the first game, doesn't look right in the mask, and then figures it out. So I think it matters. I think it was big that they took care of Nebraska like fairly easily today. It wasn't a blowout by any means, but it wasn't a super close game. Just to kind of get that, okay, we can do this. We can still, win by double digits, even against a bad Nebraska team. But I'm worried just because adapting to a mask is a thing. Like, it's not some made up concept of a player, putting a mask on and being the same player. It affects how you see the floor, and Io sees the floor really well. So, it's almost like how I look at coaches. It's like A new coach, give him 3 to 4 years. Let me see Io for 3 to 4 games, and then I'll figure out exactly how much of a threat the mask is or not.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I think that he can adjust, and I think that there's ways to be able to make those things so that the impact on
Right.
the players is somewhat limited. We had Scott McGinn in the comments earlier say that if Michigan is the third best team in the country, he wants all the odds. So, I mean,
you're going to get them.
Look, if you're getting the best odds on Michigan at this point, like I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong thing to take. We still got Ohio State and Michigan State playing right now. Michigan State cut it to 2. I don't know about you, but I'm on Michigan State there, and I'm on the over. So we need more points, Reags. That's what we need.
I didn't touch this game with the no Kyle Young, and also like I'm still trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out when the right time to fade Michigan State is again.
All right, well then let's get into 3 up and 3 down because I think Michigan is very much in this conversation. Michigan State, I'm sorry, is very much in this conversation for me. So we'll start with the 3 teams that you are higher on than probably anyone else. And if you want to do the honors, I will allow you to be the first one to go.
All right, so I'm trying to think because I feel like this is typically when a lot of us that do this for a living end up like saying the same 7-8 teams. So I'm trying to figure out who is an answer of who I'm higher on. I mean, like I guess Oklahoma doesn't count. I'm not going to say USC. Like there's so many similar answers.
Let's just say this as a rule: they have to be unranked and outside of the top 25 on KenPom. Like, who do you think is a team that can like make a run, an actual Final Four threat?
So okay, that's what I was about to ask. What's the clarification? You know who it is for me? It's Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the ones I had on my list.
Yeah, I think they're really good. Mike Boynton, I think, is a great coach. Good coach to great, like potentially great coach. You have the most talented player in college basketball, and guess what? That usually matters, and it's starting to matter. Also, the surrounding pieces fit really well, and you're talking about a lot of freshmen and sophomores who are figuring out the game and figuring out playing together. And I would not be surprised to see them in the second weekend.
Yeah, and at this point, like you're with me, where if the NCAA makes a decision that takes them out of the NCAA tournament, like we riot, right? Like,
90 minutes to me to get to Indianapolis.
Yeah, we're burning this one. I'm coming with you. Like we're burning.
Right, like I will be driving with a torch, like ready to go.
Yeah. So for me, the first one that I have on my list, like you're probably going to be able to, if you have to guess this, you can probably guess it.
It's Michigan State.
Well, that's one of the ones. The number one on my list is the one and only UConn Huskies, Reags.
I mean, I feel like everyone's high on UConn.
Yeah, I just think that now that they're finally healthy, right?
Yeah.
Now that they have Bouknight back, more importantly, now that they also have Andre Jackson back and Tyrese Martin is coming off of the ankle thing that he was dealing with.
Sanogo figuring it out. Yeah,
like I really do think that they are starting to put it together. Now, we've seen it in flashes, right? We saw it in the second half against Georgetown. We saw it mostly in the first half against Providence. We saw it for about 15 minutes against Villanova. But like Bouknight, like it's very, very obvious to me that dude does not have his legs at all. Between getting surgery, the 5 weeks that he didn't play, and the COVID layoffs that he had to deal with, like that dude is just not where he needs to be. Against Providence, he was having cramps. Against Villanova, like I don't know how much of that game you watched, but for the entire second half, like he had no explosive, no burst, couldn't get into the lane. He's a complete difference maker. Like I think he's one of the 10 best players in college basketball. He's the kind of guy that can take over a game and put up like 25 points on anybody. So you combine that with the fact that they could roll out lineups where they have Bouknight at the 2, Tyrese Martin at the 3, and Andre Jackson at the 4. Like all of a sudden, they are the most athletic team in the country when they put that team out there. So
they're up there.
Yeah,
and I do like them. Like, and I was talking to somebody about it who I work with, and I don't see, barring a complete collapse with Bouknight back and healthy, like you can't keep this team out of the tournament. Like they are one of the 30, what would it be this year? 37 best teams after the at-larges. They're one of the 37 best teams.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I hope they get in. Their profile is so weird because of all the games that they lost when they didn't have book night and
Yeah.
the things that they've been dealing with coming back. Like it's also, to me, like them and Louisville are like the two real test cases for like how much the committee is going to value all this stuff, and maybe Stanford to a point, depending on if they can hold on and beat Oregon today. Like how much is the committee uh, going to value the stuff that these teams have dealt with? Like Stanford basically spent like uh, 2 months living in hotels and going.
I mean, they lived across the country for like 3 weeks.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how all of that is played out. All right, who's your next? Who's the next team you're higher on in the field?
Probably a popular answer, but again, I think I'm a little higher on them than most. I'm still sticking with Oregon. I think they are top 15 talent now, and I know they don't have Dante, and he's out for the year. But they're coming off that kind of ugly loss to USC. But this is a team that's going to be what?
That was kind of an ugly loss.
I mean, it was ugly.
Yeah, it was bad.
But you're talking about what? They're going to be like a 10 seed, right? Because of their weird resume. And this is another kind of like test piece, right? And test case in the sense of how does the committee view them with injuries, shutdowns, and then this.
Mm-hmm.
Talent-wise, I think they're top 15 talent in the country.
I wish they had a better.
And it's also, this is becoming now the Oregon trend, right? The Oregon trend is a decent win to start the year, an average loss, kind of look like trash, figure it out, win the Pac-12 tournament, be a 11 seed, and make a Sweet 16.
Yeah. Stanford Steve was on with us the other day, and he had this stat. How about this, Reags? Since 2000, I think it was since 2015, Dana Altman in Pac-12 play against the spread is 77-46. This was like a year ago. So like
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he crushes it. I am with you a little bit. I'm a little bit worried about the fact that they don't have that like great interior presence and they don't have a great point guard. Right?
Yeah, they're just all wings, and but I think you can make that work.
Yeah, and I just trust Dana Altman, but like, I mean, if they can't beat Stanford without Oscar da Silva, that's not a good look.
I know, and I'm tempted. Like that's why I was hesitant to take them, but I'm still just going to blindly back Oregon because it's profitable.
Yeah. The other one, my second one on this list, and you're going to despise me for it. I know you're going to despise me for it. I can already see the look on your face. You know what I'm going to say, and you're going to buck at me as soon as I say this. But it is the Duke.
Oh, you're an idiot.
It's the Duke Blue Devils.
You're an idiot.
I've gotten sucked in. Like
they haven't beaten anybody.
I'm in. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm in.
They haven't done anything.
I know, but it's just like
they are last year's Virginia. Listen to me. They are last year's Virginia. Virginia didn't do shit last year. They beat up a bunch of teams in the ACC, which sucked last year. It's even worse this year. Guess what Duke is doing? The same thing.
I mean, you're right.
I know I am.
I don't disagree with anything that you're saying. But
you're an idiot and stubborn still.
I'm still going with Duke here. Because you know what's going to happen is they're going to end up getting like an 11 seed, right? They're going to win 2 of their last 3 games.
No. They're going to be the first team out. Someone's going to get COVID, and then they're going to get in.
And you're going to be a number 1 seed, yeah.
Yep, right. That's exactly what's going to happen.
What's going to end up happening. So since we're on the topic, like, how do you feel about that? The rules that the NCAA put in.
Listen, like, I disagree with a lot. To me, I just wish they started the tournament 2 weeks later. I feel like that would solve a lot of the solutions. But I think it's the most fair. I think they're correct in how they're doing it in the sense of if it's a single bid league who loses the team, they get to replace it with a team within their league. I think that's a correct decision. Like ranking 1 through 4, the first 4 teams out, smart decision. I don't like that it kind of finalizes the bracket 48 hours. Like what? We really can't get a team in there on Thursday?
And it's really gonna fuck up all the brackets that like people do.
Well, that, and I know like the whole press release was talking about like, oh, there won't be a competitive disadvantage for the team that plays. Like if a team has to can't play in the first round, one of the first 4 teams to come in, the whole thing was like, oh, there won't be a competitive disadvantage for the team that they're playing because it would be a lower seed than whatever. And I'm sitting there going, well, it's a competitive advantage for the first 4 team out, because what if it is a 3 seed that gets positive COVID test, can't play? You know, are we really going to give Indiana a 3 seed?
Look, I get it, and you're not wrong, but what else are you going to do?
To me, it's like, if you're going to finalize the bracket 48 hours, everyone's in Indiana. Just reseed that region. Why can't you reseed that region? There's only one bracketing principle you have to worry about then.
The only problem with that is that you're going to have coaches that have started like game planning and prepping and doing everything that they need to do for not just the team that they're playing, but for the 2 teams that they're going to play the next day. So it's like, I understand that, but it's also the easiest thing to do is just plug and play, and just replace it and hope that it doesn't end up being something awful. And if it is, well, what the fuck are you going to do?
I know. And like, I get, like, to me, they kind of pigeonhole themselves without pushing the tournament back. Like, to me, that just would have been the smart, like, from guaranteeing the 6-8 teams that make the tournament to play in the tournament. That kind of was the answer to me. Like, almost like with the NBA bubble, get the teams into Indianapolis, bubble them up for 10 days, and then start the tournament.
Yeah, what Troy said to do is bump up the seed lines. Don't worry about like the conference first.
Well, that's what I was going to say. To me, the only bracketing principle you would then have to worry about is just don't put them in the same first round matchup with the conference team.
Yeah, and even if you do, like, whatever. Like,
listen, sorry, coaches, we're friends. We're friends with coaches.
Yeah, but
sorry for the extra work.
Yeah, well,
I'm selfish. It's not extra work for me.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say is like, breaking bracketing rules to like have conference against conference games. Like, is that really any weirder than like taking out potentially like a top 2 seed and replacing with a team that got left out of the tournament? Like, that's more fucked up than having a conference versus conference matchup.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if we have to do it this way, where a team cannot play within 48 hours of Selection Sunday, just reseed only that region. You don't have to do the entire bracket, just that one region. And really, you're talking probably about, I mean, depending what seed line it is. If it's a 1 seed, you're changing probably the first 10 seeds. But I would bet in the grand scheme of things, you're really not changing that much.
Yeah, and let's just hope that it doesn't happen. It's probably.
I know.
Let's just hope that it doesn't happen.
That's what I said in my blog today. It's like, it could be complete mayhem because, and you know what's going to suck if it does happen? Gonzaga's win the title and everyone's going to put an asterisk on Gonzaga winning the title.
I mean, the dumb people will.
I know, but
people won't.
Rob, there's so many dumb people. There are so many dumb people.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so you have. Do I have to give my argument for like my pro Duke argument?
I know what you're gonna say.
The lineup fits together better.
Yep.
When they have Jalen Johnson and Matthew Hurt together, you can't play one of them at the 5, and you can't play one of them at the 3. They're both 4. So now everything fits together. Now you have everyone bought in. Now the whole is greater than some of the parts. Now everyone actually likes each other. We're all friends. We're all buddy, and it's the brotherhood, Reags. It's the brotherhood. So
yeah.
All right. So all I'm saying is that if they get in, and let's just say, like, even if they're an 11 seed, they're a first 14, whatever it is, like if you're that 5 seed or that 6 seed, like you don't want to face that Duke team in the first round, right?
I mean, I wouldn't care. Like, they're not good.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, if you're a 5 seed, guess what? You should probably be favored by about 5 points over that Duke team.
Yeah, true. All right. Next up, we one more. You got one more underrated team.
All right, let's see here.
We're also allowed to say Michigan State because that's what both of us are going to say.
I'm debating. I'm pretty sure this team's not ranked. I'm going to go with Rutgers. Again, like, they're healthy. They were not healthy earlier in the year. Yeah, they lost to Maryland and they lost to Michigan, although they really won against Michigan because they covered. Listen, like I think Geo Baker and Ron Harper could get hot for 4 games and get to a Final Four.
Well, Ron Harper cannot play any worse than he's been playing.
Right, I know. And like
It's
again,
impossible for him to play worse than he's been playing.
And we're talking about long shots here, right? Like,
yes.
Do I think they'll make a Final Four? No.
Dude, how about this? He went for a stretch where he missed 23 straight threes and went 1 for 28 from 3. Like that's Jack White level shitty.
I miss the days of everyone tracking Jack White's threes.
That was great, wasn't it? Like
that was just a great time on Twitter.
He had a month where we were like, Jack White is the perfect complement to Zion Williamson. You put him on 5, it fixes everything. He blocked a shot against Texas Tech. He made a couple threes. He's the answer. Duke's going undefeated, and then he doesn't hit another 3 again for the rest of his life.
I know. It was perfect.
All right, so my last one is Louisville.
Yeah, I that's what I was debating. I was debating Louisville and Rutgers.
So because that's the 2 that I was debating too. I'm glad we're somehow like we haven't potted in like 6 months.
I know.
We're all just on the same page. We have it all figured out.
It's because we still text every day.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. So Louisville, their guards are great. They got Malik Williams back. They have like all the like these live bodies at the 3 and the 4 that they can rotate around. And the worst stuff, the worst games, the worst performances they've had have all been covered. You can tell them because they keep burping.
And they've been horrendous losses. I love they come back from COVID, they just lose by 100.
Yeah. I've never seen a team give up the way that Louisville team gave up at North Carolina. And it sucks because
even that UCLA team that was down 41-7 to Kentucky tried harder.
Oh yeah, that I forgot about that game. Yeah. But I feel for them though, because every time it feels like they've kind of gotten something going,
something happens.
They get another positive test, or another guy's got to sit out, or they get a false positive, which is something that they dealt with in the recent past, or their coach gets caught on video acting like a complete goober, dancing around maskless at a party, right? So it's just kind of they just can't.
We're underselling that video. There was a former NFL player in it, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, my hot take on that video, and I think it's whatever. It's great. It's going to be fun for the rivalry. 2, for me, when I watched it, I was to me that was very obvious that there was some kind of inside joke that we just weren't in on. No one does a video like that unless you're doing it to make fun of somebody. And the fact that dude and Kenny Payne are tight, makes a lot of sense. What should have gotten a lot more publicity is the fact that a team with all of these COVID issues has a head coach is jumping around without a mask with people that aren't affiliated with the team. To me, that is the thing that actually should have been a talking point, but it felt like that completely got glossed over.
Well, from someone within the rivalry, it's the Kenny Payne won all those games that. You hear that? That's just Kentucky fans see red.
Yeah, I got you, but it was just I thought it was so obvious that it was just some dumb joke that no one.
Oh, I think listen, I found the video hilarious. I literally laughed out loud when Eric Wood said, Coach Cal will never win again. And Mac went, wait, what? That's not true. He got caught being wait a minute, please don't let that one get out.
All right, yeah. So we're on the same page a little. All right, let's do teams that are overrated. Can we just both start with Iowa? That's where we both.
I've said it in the preseason. Buddy, I have so many tweets that I'm ready to just hit retweet, quote tweet on when the Iowa season finally ends.
So you're getting your RP3 natural on?
Yeah. Pretty much everyone that I had a lot of Iowa fans screaming at me. And listen, not to brag, but I've been 100% right about this team. They are a top 15-ish team who can't really defend, who we knew who they were. They didn't have some new piece come in and be oh, this is a guy that can take them from, a 5 seed to a 1 seed. We knew who this team was all along. I don't know why people And this happens with teams every single year, right? Oh, they return everybody. They're going to be a top 5 team. And it's like, why? They were a 9 seed last year. Like, what's so different from last year to this year? Like junior to senior year, no one's taken a jump. Like we knew who this team was all along.
Yeah, I mean, entirely there with you. I will say this: over the course of the last, before tonight, over the course of the, and I don't know how much you can criticize them for like having Michigan run it up on you a little bit, but over the course of the last 2 weeks, they'd actually been pretty good defensively.
Yeah, but again, who is it against?
And I mean that's what it is. But my hot take has been that it wasn't what they were doing defensively; it was the fact that they were more efficient offensively, and they weren't allowing teams to get out and transition on them.
Yeah, I mean that's key.
Because their transition defense, their half-court defense is bad. Their transition defense is fucking laughable.
Yeah,
because Luka can't get up and down the floor.
No.
He runs as hard as he can, and he's still the slowest guy on the court.
I mean, yeah, it's again, you're talking about like a semi-traditional big. Like that's the case when you play a guy like that.
Yeah. All right, so let's go with other overrated teams. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
You go first this time.
Houston. I don't get it. I don't see it.
Fair.
I
still like them.
They're good because they defend. They're well
multiple guards. Fabian White's back.
They'll get to the offensive glass, and they have.
I trust Kelvin Sampson now.
Yeah, but it's also like, okay, well, they lost at Tulsa, they lost at East Carolina, and they lost at Wichita State, and neither of those 3 teams are going to sniff the NCAA tournament. And their best win is what? A Texas Tech team that could find themselves on this list, right?
Yeah,
but is that their best win, or is it the Western Kentucky team that they beat tonight? Like that. That's what we're talking about with them.
Right, and that's all fair. Like their resume stinks, but when I watch them, I love the makeup of this team, and I like that Fabian White's back, and I like that I trust Kelvin Sampson. Like their last 2 losses in the NCAA tournament were a Tyler Hero 3 with 2 seconds to go, or whatever, however much time is left, and Jordan Poole at the buzzer.
Yeah.
Or we're talking about potentially Houston in 2 back-to-back Final Fours.
Yeah. No, I mean I get it, right? I get where you're at with it, but I don't know. It's hard.
And I get where you're at too. To me, they're just kind of they're perfectly what I think. Like they're the most split team I think across the country.
I think that I would have them in like that 4 to 5 seed. I think they're like the 16 to 20th best team in the country. Whereas
I would have them higher, but that's fair.
Team, they're number 4 in Ken Palm. I think that they're a little overvalued. What else you got?
Virginia, they stink. Like they can't defend.
They stink.
They stink. Like, who have they beaten? They lost to San Francisco. They lost to NC State. Who have they beaten?
No one. Like
they couldn't even beat Duke. That's a bad loss. They are not good. They've gotten. What's weird? Last year they were so good defensively, but I think they were the worst offensive power or major 6 program last year. And
they were horrible. They were ranked
24th
offensively.
And this year they're actually pretty good offensively. They're not good defensively. That's what happens when you lose Braxton Key and Diakite and you replace it with Hauser and Trey Murphy.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's their resume is disgusting. They have 3 quad 1 wins and 2 quad 4 losses.
Yeah, I don't see it. They're going to be a projected top 4 seed. I'm ready to fade.
Yeah, their best wins are at Clemson, at Georgia Tech, at Notre Dame.
Actually, I kind of like Georgia Tech.
I honestly if North Carolina doesn't make the NCAA tournament, they don't have a win over a tournament team.
Georgia Tech should make the tournament.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Clemson will, but Clemson stinks.
Yeah, no one's good.
The ACC stinks, except for Florida State. I like Florida State.
All right, so my second one that I think is overrated, I kind of already hinted at it, is Texas Tech. I'm not buying it.
Common answer. Yeah.
I think that their resume is overrated. They're sitting here at 6 and 7 in the Big 12 now. They lost 3 in a row. I think people we celebrate what Chris Beard did with that team in 2018, that team in 2019, right? But we ignore the fact that one year he did it with Big 12 Player of the Year Keenan Evans and Jarrett Culver / Zaire Smith on the roster, right? The next year he did it with sophomore year Jarrett Culver plus Matt Mooney and Tariq Owens, who are both 23 years old and who are now both on NBA rosters.
Right.
Like now you got Mac McClung and like Terrence Shannon. You know, like those guys are fine.
Micah Peavy is going to be fine.
Like yeah, I mean these are good pieces.
Right. They need the star.
They don't have that star.
Right.
Like
Mac would be the perfect number 2. You can win a title with Mac as your number 2.
Yeah, like if he played better defense, but you know the combination of. So the thing that happened was like Chris Beard went out and added these 2 guys, and Mac McClung and Marco Santos Silva, that was supposed to be the answers to fix everything.
Yeah.
But the problem is like neither of those 2 guys are really good defensively in the Big 12.
Right.
It's a problem. You got any more overrated teams?
Oh, I got an overrated team for you.
What do you got?
She is 100 years old. Her name is Sister Jean.
Oh.
And the Loyola Chicago Ramblers.
Oh, God.
This team is overrated. Overrated. What have they done?
They beat Drake.
Yeah, without their best player. They lost Indiana State, which I get. Like people have a bad loss. They lost to Richmond. They lost to Wisconsin. Their best win is North Texas and Drake. Cool. Why is this team top 10 in metrics? Why is this team
is ridiculous? Like that's what it is.
Sure, but me and you could defend Missouri Valley players.
They eat everybody up. No, So I think that Loyola is really, really good. I think that Loyola is better than the team that made the Final Four. I think Loyola is a team that, given the right draw, can get to the second weekend. I think talking about Loyola as a top 10 team in the country is like kind of laughable.
I'll tell you who Loyola is. They're the team that everyone's going to pick, and they're going to lose by double digits in the first round.
Yeah, they're.
We see this every year. We do this every year with a mid-major. Now, typically the mid-major isn't top 10 in metrics, but we do this every year with the mid-major.
What year was it that Northern Iowa had that really good team when like Seth Tuttle was on the roster and they got like
they were the 4 seed that year?
Yep. And I think they beat Wyoming in the first round, but then they got drubbed in the second round by Louisville.
Was it
15? It was 2015.
15.
And then they lost to that Louisville team that had like Terry Rozier and Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, they scored 53 points, lost by 13.
Yeah, that's who they are.
Right.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm with you. That's not a bad call. That's not a bad call. All right, Reags. Well, listen, man, this has been fun. I'm glad that we were able to connect again.
Absolutely.
We were able to get you on the Beers and Ball live stream. At some point, we're going to have you on again. I got to figure out exact times. Probably some NCAA tournament stuff. And so can you just kind of plug where your stuff is? I know you mentioned that you might have something new coming up. Like, just tell everybody where they can find you. We actually have people in the comments requesting for a plug because they want to know where all your content is.
Yeah. So obviously follow me on Twitter, Barstool Reags. I post everything there. BarstoolSports.com to read all my stuff. I'm actually launching here, and it starts in 10 minutes, daily, every night, Monday through Sunday, except for maybe Friday until games get better on Friday, 11 p.m., the new app Clubhouse. I know it's specific just to Apple users right now, but download Clubhouse, get invites to get in there, 11 p.m. You can follow Barstool Reags on there and Barstool Sports. It's all circled together in that. We're going to be doing daily talk about the games, Q&As, drinking, having futures talk, everything like that. So you can listen to me rant. And the cool thing about Clubhouse is you can actually join the conversation and argue with me. So,
Reese, it's been fun.